Oh, yeah. We've got audio. Just had to change the setting. But what we don't have is an offline banner, but it doesn't matter. Oh, well, that's how it rolls. I don't like how it works, but it works. Oh, well, that's how it rolls. Let's mute myself so I don't have a reverb. Alrighty, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Another week, another dollar. I have a really crappy headset. I broke the other one. This one cost about 14 bucks, and it sounds like it cost about $3. But it works. The audio works. My microphone works. And therefore, it is good enough. We have blue skies outside. We are rocking with a new model. Something new, something fresh. Tonight, we are going to try to build more than one thing. But probably just going to build one thing. It is going to be a bridge. Basically, what we're going to be doing, if we go to the top view and go to text, we're going to type in what we're going to do. A flat bridge, stone, an arc, bridge, stone. We are going to make a wood bridge. Oops. A flat bridge, wood. And we're going to make a covered bridge, wood. And that's what we're going to do. Right there, look at that. Boom. Just to remind us so we don't forget. It'll be right there. We're going to start off with the flat bridge tonight and see what we can go with. First thing we need to do is bring in a supporting piece so we know our sizes and definitions. It'd be under forest clusters, blah, 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 probably that one. I'm looking for master base. Bang. Right there. We got a master base. We're going to center it up to 0. And does it look like it has turbo smooth on? It sure does. Turn that off. Because we just want to have 1 inch. And true 1 inches here. Because we're using it as a go-by on size. As always, before we begin, we determine what we're modeling these things for. I'm taking a drink of nice little scotch tonight. I welcome everybody to join in the festivities. Are we making the model for a skirmish type of situation where there is no grid on the table and you're just tossing a bunch of terrain and all the pieces can freely move wherever they want? Or are you playing it off of a grid? And if you're playing off of a grid, which is what we got here, then you need to determine how big it is. Alright? So, generally speaking, if you're going to build a bridge, and it is only going to be crossing from this point to that point. In other words, it's crossing a whopping 1 inch grid. No one is going to use that bridge. Why? Because in role-playing, unless you are getting some screwy rule system, but mostly speaking, it's going to always be about a 5-foot gap representing in that 1 inch. So from here to here is 5 foot. Just about anybody can step over a 5-foot spot. If they have like a little bit of a jog, they can easily jump over. It's not that big a deal. The 10 foot, which is getting close to about right here, a 10-foot bridge, you would think, well, okay, that's one of the cute little park bridges that you go to, and you're walking with some chick or dude or both, and you decide to cross this little path and go over the little brook that's so adorable that she just squeals the whole time, that may be 10 feet wide. And that's something that would be a little bit challenging for most people. You got to get a little bit of a run. You can't, not too many people can do a standing broad jump at 10 feet. That's a heck of a jump. But just jogging it, no big deal. So, question is, do we keep going? And the answer is, you betcha. 15 feet is usually what I would consider an average, decent length bridge in role-playing terms. We got to keep in mind that we can't just make the thing, 40 feet long. I guess you can, but you're going to have enough room on your board, and you have enough room in the scenery. So that's what we're going to do, is actually make one bridge that is a minimum 15 feet carrying capacity. And that's something else you got to keep in mind. You're not building a bridge that's 15 feet long. Instead, you're building a bridge that covers over a 15-foot gap, but it's got to be anchored on both sides, or else it isn't going to be, hold up very well. It's going to probably fall into the water. So you're going to have more than 15 feet, which means if you put a 5 foot, and that's what I'm guessing. So basically, you would have this square, and then these 3 would cover the river, and then this last square would be your anchor as well. So a total of 25 feet, or in this case, in real terms, 5 inches. Okay? And we're going to do that. We're going to start off with that, but we want to make it so that we're going to make multiple versions of this in varying lengths, from spending 15 all the way up to, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 25 seems like a good enough wonder. So if we go there, just make another representation of it. Oops, I do not want it. Click the unique button up here, and it is no longer unique because I don't want it to copy. I want 2 separate lines. So basically, we're gonna make a series of bridges tonight, and they're going to be spanning this length all the way up to this length. And the key is that we want to be able to make it so that we can adapt segments, make it basically modular, so that all we do is add segments to it, and as many segments as we want added to it, and then fuse it all together. And so you can make it as short or as long as you want. And that way we can offer 1, 2, 3, 4 different variations of the bridge. And as I said earlier, we're going to make a flat bridge tonight out of stone, and then that's 4 versions of that, 4 different lengths. Same for the arc bridge, same for the flat bridge wooden, same for the covered bridge. You want to give your player, you want to give the person who's going after these things and wants to download and take on your stuff, you want them to have variety. And they might not necessarily have the means to adjust this. So right now, we're going to just make 4 separate versions of the stone arc, the stone flat bridge. However, there is an idea that I've got where you can make it a sliding bridge. And basically, it means it's 2 pieces. One is a hollow box right here. Imagine this being a hollow box. If I can quickly convert to a poly, and I can take out, let's say that's one side of it, and of course you can move it around and do all this kind of crazy crap, but for just explanation purposes, it doesn't matter. But you can go like this, have some thickness to it, and then you go in there on the other side and make a box like this. And let's just pretend that it's the right width as that hollow, and basically you make them 2 pieces. You've got a bridge here with the base and a bridge here with the base, and this watch with me, nice and slow. And you can make it extend and contract as much as you want, so that you depends on what kind of length of bridge you want at the time, you can do that. Now the downside of that is, depending on how thick your wall is here and how close this is to being the width of the hole, you get it pretty daggum close where it's a pretty tight fit, well then you're still going to have a little bit of a lip right there where this thing comes down. So that may be something that people don't like. It's just part of it. You can deal with it. You can either download and print off set pieces that are static, or maybe we can make a dynamic version. But right now we got jack shit in here and we need to actually do something. So let's actually get to work. Alright, so we're making one that's going to be a flat bridge, which means that in this regard it doesn't need to be elevated. It can, but I mean it doesn't really matter. A flat bridge will just will lay right on the actual battle mat. So it'll look like a bridge, but it'll only be going up, it'll be laying on the actual battle mat. So it'll be more of an illusion than anything. The arch bridge is the one that actually goes up and curves. You can make one that goes up, straight across and down. We could do that too. So let's just see what we can come up with. Why don't we? All right. Let's make the base, or the anchor point first. And what I want to do is I want to make this thing, I'm really tempted to make it this wide and have two, that may be a good idea, and we'll have two squares wide for the bridge, and then I'm thinking half. I don't want a full inch of thickness of the wall because that's a heck of a thick wall. So a half square is fine, and it's not going to kill anybody to have it, half square. So all right, so the anchor point here will be one here, and then the bridge will start right there and go across. So let's start with the anchor point. Do I want to just square this thing up? I feel like I do. Yeah, let me just square this bad boy up. Let me make sure that, I want to double check real quick. Move 2 inches. I want to double check that I've got my measurements right. 25.4 is 1 inch. So 25.4 by 25.4. Yeah, that's what really an inch is. Let's get rid of this and just make our own little official grid so we know. Boom, and then boom, and then oops, I should have gone one more. Boom, yep, and then hold down shift before you move it, and that pops up this copy. And then you tell it how many copies you want. I want this to be 3 to span, and then 1 on either side, so for 5. So this is 2, or this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need to copy 5 times, and I totally missed it. Should have been 1 less. Anyway, do it that way. So now I've got the one piece, exactly 1 inch grid, 4 by 5, and that's how the bridge is going to be. It's going to be adorable. So let's make this thing with the base. Generally you want these bridges, I mean, it's all about being structurally sound and as indestructible as possible. So generally speaking, when you model things and you want it to be really sturdy looking, you want it to be bottom heavy, not top heavy. So the bottom should be always wider than the top. So we'll start with this one. This is going to be as wide as it gets, and it's going to start at the base. So this is the basic flagstone on the bottom. We want to add an editable poly on it, and we want to open it up to the poly port so we can get to that port and select the top poly. And then we're going to just go ahead and click on the bevel settings, because we're going to make this whole anchor point. And when I say anchor point, I mean the pillar or stone column that usually is on either side at the ends of the bridge that kind of serve as kind of an anchor point. So we're going to bring this in. The bottom number is the one you want, not the top one. Top one's height, bottom one is the outline. And I want to bring it in, I don't know, 1.5 is fine. Now, oops. Now, we can make this not flat on the bottom. You can make this actually, yeah, you can bring this up a little bit. That's not bad. It makes more sense. Have a little bit more of a chisel look to it. But go back to the bevel settings. Can zero out everything so that you're ready to rock and roll. So the first thing I want to do is I actually do want to inset it, but I don't want to inset it very much. That looks good. And then I want to push the plus sign because I want to go straight up. I don't want to. I want to go straight up with this first object. It goes with height, and I want to go up. I don't know, about right there. That's good enough. And again, I don't want it to be angled because if I use the other one, it starts to angle it like this. Or maybe I do. Maybe I like that. I personally don't. I just pretty much go like that. That looks good enough. Push plus again, and that will make it up there. So you want to zero it out again. You always want to zero out after the plus so that you can have your own control of what you're going to do again. I want to go inward a little bit because I'm going to come up and then come back out because I want this to start having kind of a slit in between. The only problem is with this is that, like, if I go in and come up like that, and then, oops, went too far. Oops. Well, pull your head out of your butt, John. Like that, and then put a plus, cancel out, extrude it. It's what I kind of wanted to do, that type of a look, just a little more level. The problem is, if you do this spot right here, this will all be filled up with support. You're going to have to go in there and remove all of that, which isn't that big of a deal if you've got a filament that's good enough. You can pop that stuff right out. It's not that bad of a deal. It just depends on how much work you want. I do not like how it wasn't even anyway. So what we'll do is we'll bring it straight up, but we will bring it, let's bring it in a little bit maybe. Something like that. And then bring it up just a little bit more and bring it farther in. Pretty simple. Nothing to it. Now, here's the thing. I want to make it a cylinder all the way up. I want the rest of it to be rounded, and I want it to look like it has stonework on it. So this part will be the chisel part, but then the rest of it will be stone. Hold on a second. Let me make my little cylinder man so I know how tall it is. We want 12.5 is the radius, 25 is the height. Always that. And if you can, keep them right there. That way you know that's a typical mini size. It should be good enough. All right. So based upon that, we can still go up a little bit higher. Really want to make that cylinder, and we may adjust this. This may be too much, too high on there. We'll see. Let's do cylinder. Go to T for top. Go to F3 so we can actually see it. Then just kind of get it in the general ballpark. Don't worry about getting it exact. Just get it down and get it dirty. Then we go to the align tool right here. Click on your box, the base. That way we're lighting it up with the base. Make sure everything's centered. Don't click the Z button because we want it not in the middle of the object. The Z button the Z position will lower this thing down and center it actually inside the base. We don't want it. We just want it X and Y. This and this makes it centered. X and Y, not Z. Put it in the center. Click on OK. See, it already is in the middle because everything's based on the origin. And right now, if I turn on my little grid, you can see that everything's drawn on Z, or on Z, on 0. On 0Z. So you can do your align tool again, but this time uncheck your X and Y, check your Z. And current object is down here. So you want the minimum part to be the target object, which is this, at the maximum part. Maximum's top, minimum's bottom. Maximum's top, minimum's bottom. So you want it on the minimum, that's the object, and you want it on the maximum, the top part of that. That's how you determine between the two. Pardon me for a second while I turn down the volume on my phone because it continues to be beeping by certain individuals. Let me get that nice and quiet. I apologize for the disturbance on that. That was very rude of me. I don't know if it was picking up or not, but I don't want to take the chance. All right, so back to this. Click on OK once you've got that aligned on the top. It is overflowing. You can see it right there. It is overflowing. Plus, it's not enough faces. So let's go to your modifier tab, which is up here, second from the left, right next to your creation tab. And then you have all the options that you can change, things like that. So radius is what you want to do. Just shrink it down to wherever you want it. That looks good. Doesn't matter. Right now, I want to keep the numbers on this low because they're going to be stones, and I want the stones to be fairly big. So in this case, I would say leave it like this. We can always add more faces later. I don't think we need, yeah, we do need that actually. We need at least 5 because you can actually see the stonework there. We'll do the same thing as we did for the well, the wishing well. Very similar to it, but there won't be near as many pieces here. And eventually we'll fuse these two pieces together. Matter of fact, we might actually do that pretty soon. Let's see if we can do that. Right click your object of your cylinder, go to isolate selection, add an editable poly at the top, drop down so you can get a poly, and you'd want to get rid of, hold control and get the top and bottoms. You don't, I take that back. You need the top. You don't need the bottom. You definitely don't want the bottom for right now. Right click, go to end isolate, then go to this one, your base, and do the same thing. Take the poly, take the top, delete it. And what we're going to try to do, it's going to look ugly, and this happened last time. We're going to give it a shot, and we're going to try to fuse these two pieces together. I don't know, usually 9 times out of 10 this doesn't work very well, but we're going to try. First you need to attach the two pieces. Just make sure you have an edit poly modifier. It doesn't matter which one. Well, yeah, it does, because we learned in the last couple of sessions ago, if you attach whatever object you select first and then click the attach and click the second object loses all of its hierarchy list right here. So if you have a whole bunch of things in this that you change and you want to be able to change in the future, switch it. Don't, like right now I got edit poly and cylinder because I've got this one selected. If I go to this one, it's edit poly and box. The box will disappear once I do it this way. Watch and learn. Go to attach, go there, and now I still have cylinder, but I don't have the box. It's gone. You can remove this edit poly because that's what gave you the option to attach it. But right now I've got it all one piece like that, and it just remembers the cylinder was made. It does not remember the box was made anymore. And that may be a problem in the future, I don't know. But right now we're good. Let's go to border, and we're going to select that border and this border, basically the two opened areas, the edges. And we're going to try to bridge these two together and see how well it does. Usually 9 times out of 10 it doesn't because there's not enough vertices go around, but maybe it's low poly enough. And it looks like it actually did. Look how clean that is. Click on check mark. And yeah, that's actually a pretty freaking clean piece there. So I'm halfway pleased with it. We'll see how well we can keep this up. Edit end isolate. Right click end isolate. And at this point, we need to might as well save it because we haven't started yet. Force cluster, we're moving it back. This is going to be stone bridges. Make capital B bridges. This is going to be flat bridge. Let's make it bridge underscore flat underscore 4x5. I want to make it flat bridge. Flat bridge. Name it this way. Flat bridge. Do it that way. And it's 4x5. Alright, so now that we're safe here, we can actually go on and do the last piece if we want, which is the sphere. It's a very simple little project. You put the sphere on the top. Go to this cylinder. You go to your creation tab. Pick sphere. Drag it on there. Doesn't matter what. Just drag it onto the screen. Don't worry about the size. Don't worry about the shape. Don't even worry about the location. Really, I'm just getting in the ballpark over there. Get your align tool up here. Click your base. It's good to use just one object to align everything to, so it's all uniformed. Uncheck the Z, check your X and Y, and then click your two centers. Click your two centers right there, and then it automatically will center it up there. Now, before you click on OK, instead of clicking OK, you can actually click on Apply. And what that does is that sets your alignment for what you just did, that command of X and Y. But you noticed it cleared the X and Y after you hit Apply. That allows you to do multiple different commands. So if you wanted to center it on the X and Y, but center the Z on the minimum and maximum, which we're about to do, that allows it, which we do back here. And then click on OK. Now the problem is, it is like, you know, I mean, it's the very tip is right sitting perfect on there, and I really don't want that. You can go in here and submerge this thing partially so that it, you know, it's kind of like that. Obviously much smaller. We'll change it here in a second. You can make it half a dome if you want to, so it's sort of like half dome, so this lower half will be gone. It's up to you. The more of this you're going to have, this sphere, the more support you're going to have to go around. But again, this will be an easy clean. It won't be that big of a deal at all. So we'll keep it like this. Drop the radius down. I want it to be smaller than the radius of the cylinder. It's just my own preference. And then I want to lower it down so that there's at least some pieces in there. Now, here's something to keep in mind. Whether you're going to, if you're going to try to do that command again where we used bridge, you're going to remove the bottom part of the sphere that is not visible in this, like right now. All of this lower half that's in the cylinder, you're going to delete it anyway. So you're going to want to make sure that one of these lines, horizontal segments, depending on how deep you want this sphere in there, you need to make sure that one of these segments is on the same Z plane as your cylinder is. And the reason is because it's going to try to connect this, for instance, this whole row of segments with this row of segments. Okay? And it wants to make a flat plane. And if this is higher than this, it's going to angle it. It'll angle it upward like this, and it'll look like total crap. The model will not like it. It will not make a good, clean connection, and you're going to have issues in the future. So you want to make sure that you delete the bottom part first, which that is by doing edit poly. Go to polygons. Go to F so you can see a side view, and you can actually see the sphere submerged into it. I want to take out up to that point. Delete it. And that way, when you deselect that poly and it's just the actual object selected, you go back to your line tool, go back to P, and click the object, and it will now remembers from last time the Z minimum maximum. It is now at the very top, and because we removed that bottom half, it snaps it to that piece. So now I know this segment is perfectly aligned with this segment. If we go to the F for side and deselect, you can actually see it disappears. They're perfectly on the same plane. That's what you're looking for. If you did not delete that bottom part of the sphere and you tried to align it, it would be just by eyeballing it, you'll physically never get to do it. It is as much as you think you can eyeball by physically moving this sphere down, and it looks like you've aligned it perfectly like I have here. If you are the actual program of Max and Maya goes to an infinitesimal small amount to the point where it cannot view and show you just how far off you are. Now, you may be a micron off, but you're still not on. You're not perfectly on. So it's better to use the alignment tool, and that way it goes ahead and zeroes it out. So you got a nice line measure here. Let's drop down to poly. We're going to delete the top part. As we thought earlier, we didn't think we needed to, but now we do. This is where the issue of earlier comes into play, and we may backtrack a little bit. Right F, and we go to poly, and we select just this bottom row. That's it. If we look over here on the right, it'll say that we have 32 polygons selected right here. All right, I can tell you right now, because we picked this cylinder to have 18 sides to it, that 18 and 32 do not match up very well. They're divisible by 2, but they're not divisible by a number high enough that each, you cannot connect each polygon here with its matching polygon there, because the numbers don't match up. How could you solve this? You could have made this cylinder 32, and then it would match perfectly. So let's actually do that. So this thing takes us back. Unfortunately, what we'll have to do is not remove the edit poly, because that removes the stuff we want to keep. So we're going to have to remove the cylinder. So bye-bye cylinder. So go to poly, select all of it. I know you'll select a little bit extra than you want. Just Alt and drag over what you don't want. We are going to delete the top part of this box too, because it's going to have, since this is going to have another number, it's going to have more sides to it. It will not quite match up like this. As a matter of fact, now that I'm looking at it, it wasn't quite as clean as I thought. You see that little artifact? Yeah, that's not good anyway, so screw it. Let's go on. All right, so let's do the cylinder real quick again. Top view. Something like that. Just put it in there. Don't worry about anything yet. Do the align tool to bring it back up to the top. Do the align tool again. If you didn't push apply, cancel out, make it X, Y, and center separately from the Z so that it stays in the center. You know it's in dead center. I do not want it that wide, so go to your modify panel, squeeze your radius down just a tad bit. That's the number of segments that the sphere has, so we do that so it matches. We add edit poly to the cylinder so we can remove the top. From the top, to the bottom. Delete them. That way you just have the shell of the cylinder. Because the top and the bottom, you're not going to matter because we're going to bridge these two pieces together here in a bit. So go back to your border. Oh, actually, take that back. Go back to Edit, Poly, and attach the cylinder. Attach the cylinder to your base so it's one piece. You can actually do the same thing with the sphere, but don't worry about it right now. Just concentrate on getting these two pieces together because this is going to be kind of a pain. Grab your border, grab your border. Hold on to your butts because this is going to be probably really ugly. Yeah, it is. And the reason is because you have 4 different points, 4 different corners where segments can come out of. Because the base is only 4 corners. So all of the lines that fuse onto that, matter of fact, it's you can actually see if you hit F3, you can see what happens because you don't see. You see how there's no segments from this point? Yeah, it actually is. You can see it's inside. It's from this daggum point over here. Instead of it being smart enough and making a point from here to there and from there to there, it's stupid and thinks it's a good idea to go right between everything and cut over there. Well, that's dumb, and we don't want that. But we go ahead and click OK anyway because we're going to clean this thing up because this is just part of it. Go to Polygon and click until you have the polygon that has the crazy dark art. Oops, the crazy dark artifact right there. Select it. Hit F3 so you can actually see what happens. Delete that thing. And that's not the only one because you want the one that also goes to the other piece here. So you want all that deleted. You want to make sure that nothing else goes to this piece or this piece. And right now it looks like this piece is by itself. Nope. You see if you move it real close, you see this little freaking little piece of crap right there. That one, the little turd. Yeah, it snuck right past you, didn't it? Well, delete that. Get rid of it. You don't want it. You want to make sure that this edge, the only thing it is, it goes to this corner right here. If I push F3, it goes to that corner and nothing else. We'll worry about the other stuff later. So we need to make sure that all of these are clean. So we have to do that with the other ones too. Again, delete, 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 and then go in here and get this little bitty guy. And I got one more. Yes, got one more. Just keep clicking until you get that inner piece because you'll find that it'll click on other things first. Sometimes you get lucky like that. I think that's it. It's all of them. Every side. How stupid can you get, computer? Keep clicking, keep clicking. Drink time. Burns. Okay, now what we're going to do is make several different polys. You can isolate this if you want, so you get that pink frazzly stuff you see at the bottom that keeps flickering. That's because this bottom piece is perfectly on top of that plane, and the two planes on top of each other do not work well together. They don't like that plane. Any plane on top of another plane, programs don't like that because it's two pieces existing in one space and they don't like that thing. Alright, so go to Polygon, go to Create. It's the button on the right column up here towards the top. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to start all the way from this one, and we're going to go from here to here because it's open right now. There's a big gaping hole that we've got to fill in. And we need the first one to be this piece here, from here to here to here to here. We need the next piece to go over to the next one. And then what we'll do is just fill in that last piece. With this piece here, we'll just fill in whatever is left as one solid piece because it'll be technically 4 sides. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Either use your snap tool with S so that it's all rinky-dink. You can see the yellow step to it. You can do that. And just make sure that it's got that box around the vertice that you want. If you're over here, it's not going to do it. Just make sure that green box or yellow box appears, and you'll be happy. Do the same thing again. You can keep going. You don't need to do anything special. There. Now right-click, and then left-click somewhere other than an object to deselect everything. And then just go to your border and click it. Ah, that's not good because it's trying to select other areas, and that's not really great. So let's go to vertex and see what's up here. Select this vertex and see if it's, yeah, it says vertex 224 right here. I thought for a second there was multiple vertices on top of each other. That's fine. So what we're going to do is just continue, ignore this little piece for now. And we're just going to continue to move our mosey on our way around this thing. It kind of helps instead of just clicking random things, you actually go to create. And then click on the vertice, click on the vertice, and then back. You can just do 3 this time. I know that we talked about having 4 sided polygons. Excuse me. But you can do 3 and it's fine. It doesn't hurt anything. As long as we have clean polys, that's all that matters. We try to do with 4, but sometimes you just can't avoid it. Alright, now let's see what borders, if borders still does it, which it probably should. It does. Which if you cap it, it's not going to look good. If you cap it, it does some weird thing. And I would not trust. It looks like it's fine, but if we deselect, I mean, it looks great, but the way that capped, I'm not. It usually needs to be from this point to there to this point to back there. It's right now, as if I uncap this, it's treating all of these gaps, every one of these gaps here. I know it's tough to see, but there's a hole there. All 4 of those holes, it's treating as one solid hole. Even though to you and me, we're looking at it as 4 separate holes. So to remedy this, I'm still going to go back and select all these. I want to see. Yep, it says 4 vertices right here. So that's 1 vertex right there. Alright, well, we'll just do it the hard way then. Go to Poly, go to Create, and then go to all 4 pieces of every side and do it that way. And the way, by doing this, it eliminates that question of whether or not I have a solid model or not, because the way that border and the cap that we used worked, that's something that you need to keep an eye on. Whenever you're trying to cap a hole, like for instance this hole right here, and you go to border and you select it, it should just be the segments that you know are outlining that hole. It should not go anywhere else. If the line that you just clicked on highlights any other part of that model other than the hole, then you do not have a clean model at this point. That hole right there is nice and clean. You know that there's no craziness. But if I were to go in there and break, say, this vertex up, let's do that real quick. Right now, this vertex is actually multiple vertices. Actually, I did it the wrong way. Here. There's actually a gap now. See that? And if I go in there and click border, it selects that now. Now what happens if I back it up? See how it looks like it's still one piece? It's all fine and dandy. Now watch what happens. See how that line goes down? It's because right there's 2 vertices. Now you and I know about that because I just broke it apart. But if you don't know that that thing is broken apart, if there's 2 vertices right there, you can't tell just by looking at that, just by saying, oh, there's probably 2 vertices. I spin this around really fast. You tell me which vertice has two, which of these segments has two vertices sitting on top of each other. You see what I'm saying? I mean, you can go in there and you can do all you like by selecting stuff like that, but the way to find that out, you go to border and you can see that sure enough, those are that's actually three because I selected in the background. Two vertices, and then you go to weld to put that back together. Now when you go to border, and you click on border, it's clean. So that's something to keep track of whenever you're playing around with models and you're clicking it, and suddenly your border goes all the way down into this and starts selecting all these crazy side segments. Yeah, it means that you've got some problems with your vertices, and you need to pretty much go over and figure out you either have multiple segments, multiple edges on top of each other, multiple polys, or multiple vertices. One of those things, you have more than one. All right. Now that that little side notation is over, we're back at this. We take the sphere, we align it just on the Z, minimum, maximum, so that it's at the top. It should be already at the middle, but we'll go ahead and just make precaution, center, XY. And we're going to have and select the base, click attach the sphere. I'm going to isolate this whole thing again. I isolate a lot just because it allows me not to interfere or accidentally select other things in the model, and I can easily see things much cleaner when it's just the object it is. So we go back to edit poly, we do the border just like we did earlier. Select and control select that way and make sure that all of our segments are flush. And now if we do the bridge, look how clean that is. One of the reasons why that was so clean, and it's not just because there are 32 polygons. That's not the question. That's not totally the reason. Observe. If I go in here to element, which selects everything, let's say I rotate this just a little bit. And by a little bit, yeah, about like that. So now I go to the border and I click bridge. All right, it doesn't quite look as pretty as it did. If you go to top view, you can actually see it. See how the lines don't quite match? It's because the sphere is not perfectly aligned with the cylinder. We don't want that. We want it to look nice and pretty. So you want to make sure that when you're bridging things together, you want to make sure that two objects have the same number of polys, if you can. If you can manage to do that, you want them both to have the same number of polys, and you want them to both line up so that they can make that nice little piece there. Pretty simple. All right, easy. So now let's save this as a new file. Screw it. We'll just save it as the same file. We haven't done that much. All right. Next, what we're going to do, we need to make this less boring and more interesting. So sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of reference material. You can go in there and look online all you want. And have references. There's no shame in it. Sometimes I'll actually find photos and actually go off of them distinctly. And as long as they're actual photos of real bridges, you can copy them exactly as you want. There's no copyright. Just about that I know of. There's patents, engineering patents. But there's to my knowledge, there's no such thing as copyrighting an actual structure. You can't trademark. You can't. You've got intellectual property if someone wants to design the same building. But yeah, you can go in there and model these things all you want, sell them, and you should be okay. You should be safe. So with that regard, I have a few pieces that I found on the internet. I'm going to go to F, I'm going to make a plane. I don't know how big, just whatever. Like that. This is something I'm not going to really get into because we don't ever need to get... With 3D printing, you never have to worry about materials. However, I'm going to add a material, which is basically wallpaper. You're putting wallpaper onto an object. This is the slate material editor. I'm not going to go into very great detail of this. I'll move it to compact to make it a little bit easier and simpler, because I'm not going to explain everything. Alright, I do not want physical, I want V-Ray. V-Ray, where's my V-Ray? Is my V-Ray not turned on? It is not. Hold on a second. Oh, I'm doing stuff that you don't have to worry about. Sign render, yeah, I need to go V-Ray. Now it's turned on. Now my, oops. Material, where's my material? Where's the button? I'm blind. Oh, it's that one. Alright, go to the first one. I want V-Ray material because it's a special kind of material. You don't have to worry about this. Hello, computer. Thank you, computer. Anytime computer. No license. Interesting. Alright, 1 second. You can change, yeah, it has a license right there. So, oh, sorry, I did not change everything. No, it does say material. It says it's right there. I don't know what's the deal. This is my material editor. It's acting like it doesn't want to work. The license found my butt. Aha! You found it now, you little... Alright. So, this is the first material. There's not 6 materials. There's like an infinite number of materials. This is just the vision. It's just showing displays. This is how it starts off. It shows basically a sphere. You can actually change it to cylinders. You can change it to a cube. I mostly keep on the spheres. Most people do anyway. It does show the curves and things like that. I'm just going to click on diffuse. Scroll up here for bitmap. I'm going to go to stone bridges, back. I'll do it over here. Reference. Well, I take that back. Maybe I don't have the picture that I wanted. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. 4 seconds. Well, I don't see the reference that I had earlier. I tend to do better when I'm not working completely off the top of my head. And if I do work off the top of my head, I usually have to model something a couple times before I get something I really like. So while I don't see what I want, feel free to type in various searches for yourself, looking for whatever specifically, whatever reference material you need. Screw that. We'll just do it live. I'm gonna hide that. Alright, well, bummer. We got to come up with something that looks a lot better than this, because I'm not really a big fan of it. Now that we've done it all. But I do want to keep it because we're going to probably use it for something else. Let's make a copy of it. An actual copy, not an instance. Let's name this thing Stone Pillar 1. That's good enough. Alright, I'm going to isolate this again because we're going to make it look like, hopefully, stone. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to add a, I want to make the actual stone stick out. But what we're going to do is do the reverse. So we're going to do edge. And we're going to double click with control, double click, so we're clicking everything. Alternatively, you can click on the loop button over here. So, hey, wait a minute. A piece disappeared. Do you see that? Here, we'll copy this, delete that, we'll make this piece again. Copy it. Copy the name. Yeah, that's weird. Then I turn it. No, it's still there. Weird. Yeah, it did right there. Ah, okay. Okay, well, apparently what happened was when we put those together like that, you see how it comes back, but if you deselect it, it disappears. Stupid little thing that Max does. When you have a command like one of these things over here, chamfer, bridge, extrude, and you click the settings button, one of these settings, which in this case bridge, you have to click that checkbox. If you do not click that checkbox and just deselect out, well, if you somehow can get this whole thing to leave without checking the checkbox, it still thinks that command is live, and it is going to try to bridge whatever you have selected. And if you deselect the edges, it deselects that bridge. So make sure you click on the checkbox. That's all it is to it. Now I'm going to go to edges. I want to do this again. Double click, double click, double click, double click. Do that. And then we're going to go in here and clickety click click. I want to click about that wide. That looks like a decent brick to me. But the problem is the number of segments. See, the problem is I like to have my bricks perfectly like in the middle. This piece needs to be set at the center piece of the one below it. I just prefer it that way. It's more sturdy. You can do it off center, so they're stared, so like basically like this. You do it that way. I personally don't like it that way. We may have to do it though, because there is no center point. There's no center segment. If I go this to this, there's no center segment at all, because we've got an even number. The only way that's going to come down the middle is if you have an odd number, or you do shorter. If you do two pieces, alternatively you could do 5 or 4 rather, and then you'd have the piece in the middle. But that's a heck of a long piece of stone that I really just don't know if I want it to be that big. We may have to get it that big though, just to keep it this way. Alright, let me do this one more time. Right now we're just shaping the size of the stones, and it may be what we're going to have to do. It's going to be this one. Yeah, I'm doing it right. Yeah, 4, 4, 4, 4. Don't forget the one down the bottom. Let's see. Got them right. And the one at the top. One at the top is going to be a little different, because this is going to be a different pattern. So I'm going to leave the top as is. I'm just going to concentrate on the bottom here. Just make sure I get them done right. Blah 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 blah. Blah blah. Blee 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 blee. triple check. Make sure that we've got them all. I hope so. Looks good. Okay. All right. So now that we got the actual mortar lines laid out, now we can actually make the divots where the mortars would be placed. Now, you can go ahead and not line the mortar. You can not have mortar. Good Lord. Grout is the word I was looking for. You could have it without grout and have it just perfectly line on top of each other, but you're still going to have a little bit of a seam to show that the two pieces are laying on top of each other. So we go to extrude settings and we work on the bottom number first. That separates. And if you want mortar, you know, you go something like that to 0.1. If you don't want mortar and you want it to look just like it's free, I keep saying mortar. I'm going to keep calling it because screw it. You could do this way where it's real tiny and you'll just have little bitty cracks in it. Now, will this show up on a printer? Chances are no. It will kind of resemble a little bit of a thin crack, but chances are the printer is not going to be able to do this thin. That's 1/100th of a millimeter. You're talking super, super small. And usually most printers are 0.2. So therefore, but if you do 0.1, that will show, because we're going to pull this first number inward a little bit. You have to do it crazy, just enough. I noticed if you pull it in too much, then that will start, well, it's already going to fill with support because this is way more than a 45-degree angle. So it's going to have to come out with, it's going to have to fill it with support. However, being this thin, the support actually works really well. I left it all in. I mean, you could pull all that support out between 0.1 millimeter of a gap. But the support left in actually gives it the grout look. It looks really kind of cool. So it's kind of a nice little feature that does that. Make sure you click on check mark. And that looks pretty. So we're going to save that. Now I want to expand this top piece. Go to F. And I want everything. I don't want the sphere. And I don't want the lower part of the grout. I want the upper part only. I just want this main top piece here. And actually, I don't even think I want the top yet. No, I do not want the top. So go to the top and hold Alt. And make sure you have just the select object tool right here. Right up here, this tool right here. Don't select the move tool or it starts moving things around. Hold down your the Alt button, and go over it so that you just have just the sides. Simple like that. Now, you can do one of two things. You can either bevel or extrude. It doesn't matter. That's going to be doing the same thing. In this case, we'll do extrude. Actually, that'll be just fine. I want it. You basically do two ways. You want to at least do local normal, and that makes it go out from the central point. You can actually see the line where it extrudes from, and so now you have a little bit of a lip, which is kind of cool. Alternatively, you can use the bi-poly, which is something I don't usually use very often, but if you want to actually give it a little bit of a texture, a little gap to it, you can do that way. And if you're doing it that way, you don't want this bottom piece selected. You don't want the grout selected. You just want the side piece, just this. So it's up to you. If you want to go that route, deselect that bottom piece, and you can actually go in there with this selected, with this turned on, and you can Alt and just deselect what you've got. It'll automatically revert that piece back to where it was because you don't even select it. Hell, if you wanted to like randomly click these things, if you click it, it automatically will apply these settings because we're live right now. So you can go in there and do all kinds of crazy stuff if you want to. You can make it so that it comes out even further, and you can have kind of a gap there. I'm not really a big fan of that, so we're not going to do that. And we're going to go back to extrude, and I want normal because I want it to go. And actually, I do not want the bottom piece. That piece is just interfering way too much. I'm about to sneeze. Pardon me. All right. So I'm going to actually just select that top piece. I don't want I want extrude settings. There we go. And I just want a little bit of a lip, just something that sticks out a little bit. It's going to have tons of support coming in. I mean, you're already going to get support. And I'm kid you not, as crazy as this sounds, if you look on the side, you are going to get support literally from this point right here. And this is unavoidable. I mean, if you're going to do this kind of a lip, there is going to be support from here all the way down to this base right here. There will be a long line of layers of plastic to support that itty bitty overhang. That's how printing does. It cannot print overhang material. It just can't, the way the mechanism does. It has to have support. It has to have a firm, solid surface for it to lay down the plastic, which in this case is more plastic. So we're going to do that. I kind of want to do something up here. So we are. So I'm going to go to edge. I don't want all that. Go to T. And I want to select, I'm not really worried about the sphere. We can deselect that later. But I want to get all of these segments selected. That's usually the easier way of doing it. And then deselect all that. And then I've got what I want. Only problem is I got this segment right here. Don't know if I want that. But we're going to do it anyway. I'm thinking polygon instead. T, and I want, boy, that's ugly. Look at all those segments that are just crazy lines. I want the top part again. I want all those segments. I don't really care about the rest of the stuff. I can go in there, Alt deselect all I want. Alt deselect all the sphere, Alt deselect all that. I just want that top piece right there. See what I got? And what I'm going to do is I want to actually bring it in. I want to extrude it downward a little bit. So I'm going to hit extrude, zero that out, and move it down a little bit, just to kind of give it a little bit of a trough there. You know what? X that out. Instead of doing extrude, do bevel instead, because you can still do the same thing, but then you can also actually bevel it like that, so it's at a little bit of an angle, or a lot of an angle if you want. I think a little bit of an angle looks good. And hell, you can actually go way down in there if you want. I mean, that's actually starting to make it look like a little castle, like a rook or something like that. It's kind of cool. But my pieces are too thin. We'd have to definitely expand on that. Screw it. Let's do it. Let's keep with it. So click on OK. To thicken, we go to edge, and we double click that so we get the whole edge. We could do border if we want, but we just want all of that circumference of it. We also want to hold down control and double click the inside rim part edge right there, right there. Go to T, hit F3 so we can actually see what we're doing, and we are going to try to scale this. Go to scale up here, and we're going to scale inward so we can see what we're doing there. Hit P, we can actually see what happened. And do the same thing here again. Just make sure you're doing it universally, not just on one of these directions, but the big triangle. And that way you get a little bit more thickness. That looks a lot better. Now gunk can actually fit into that. That's awesome. Alright. Now, because we're doing that, we have to do it with battlements. We have to make it. It's calling out to do that. Two ways. You can do it the hard way, which is taking each... you can take every... Oops. Let's go back to poly. You can take every other poly and break this down and make it go down to that size, or you can just select every poly and go up. It's pretty simple. We can always adjust this later, and because we got an even number, it works out real well. Just go to extrude, clear that out, go up, and you're good. I'm going to go up 0.7, that'd be fine. I don't want it to be angled because it's a little castle thing. Isn't that adorable? I think so. If you want to, you can select the vertices of just this top segment here, and you can pull it downward if you don't like the height of this, because you did go up, so now this is even taller than it was. Less of your sphere is seen. You can always just lower these pieces here. Just make sure when you got your vertices, just make sure you go around and select everything for all above these. Don't select down here. Don't select your sphere. Don't select in there. Just make sure you get these, the top battlement, and then lower it down. You're fine. I like it up there. That's fine. Let's save that bad boy. All right. Now we need to do something with the sphere. The sphere is neat, but it's not very impressive. So I'm thinking of some kind of a point that comes out of the top, and then maybe have some kind of an opening here, because then it could kind of sort of look like a lantern of some kinds. It could be illuminated. Let's see, we could do the strips down vertically, so it's got like a cage that way instead of it horizontal. That might actually work better. I think we'll do that instead. Let's add another edit poly to this thing, because we're going to do something stupid. And what we're going to do here is we're going to remove polys based upon where we want to have the opening. And remember, there's 32 of these things, so we're going to go to our top view with T, select object right there, and I want to worry about, I'm going to change the way I select my things, which is right up here. By default, I use rectangular selection region. You can hold it down, and if you go to the one that looks like a deformed Pac-Man, that allows you to make a line, and you can, it'll basically make straight lines, and you can guide that straight line by making clicks around where you want to select. So if you want to just select just these pieces here, all I got to do is go in here and keep clicking. Every time I want to make a turn, like if I just want to go in here, see how that does that? And I actually want it more than that. I don't worry about that later. I can deselect that. And then I want to go 3 and 3. That sounds good. 3 and 3. Let me see how this is looking. Yeah. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Alright. Alright. And then go to here. Oops. I did not hold down control. While you're doing this, make sure you're holding down control, or it deselects the other. There. Go 3. Ooh, I'm doing this wrong because I'm doing it by 3s. There's even numbers. Even numbers. Let me make sure. 3, and then 3 selected. 3's off. 3 selected. 3's off. Yeah, that's not right. That's a wrong number. Dang it. Alright. So it's got to be even number. I hate to do 4. That seems, and then 2 just seems way too short. But we're gonna have to do 2 because I don't think I want to do 4. So we'll do 2. Like this. Oops. Boom, 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 boom. Yep. And then I hope I'm doing this right. Okay, yeah. Boop, boop. Boop. Boop, boop. Alright, that's even. Yay! I want to change this back to rectangle while I have a chance. And I'm going to deselect the crap that I don't want to worry about, which is actually, if you push F and just go along the bottom there, you could deselect everything but the sphere, because I don't care about this base here. I just care about it up there. First thing I want to do is make this a little thicker, but we'll do that now. Actually, I want to remove this before I do that, because if I extrude outward, I guess I can work on that. I just want some thickness, because we're going to be deleting these pieces in between, so it's hollow, and that means that polygons are paper thin until you give some thickness. So if you delete these pieces here, then you don't have any thick. These would just be paper thin, but you pop it out like that, and then you've got some depth to it. All right. Yeah, that's fine. Let's make it 3. Whatever. That works. What I want to do here, man, this is going to be tight. I want to delete the bottoms here, and I want to go to vertice and go to target weld, and I want to weld the pieces that are overhanging back into the model. I want them to be like that, where it comes out, but it comes back in. You see how that is? It tapers back in. The reason is I mean, it doesn't really matter inside there, because you're not going to see much. But I want it just to all be, I don't want it to have a lot of overhang like this. But you can't just fuse those together. You have to delete the polys right here. Otherwise, when you merge this to here, that polygon still stays the same, and it just gets flattened to the point where it's this thin. It's as thin as a segment. And you have to watch out for that. So you always want to if you're fusing vertices together, you want to always delete the polys first, so that you have an actual opening. And you can always delete more polys on accident. You can always create polys. We've made polys before. Just go to your polygon, go to create, and then make your poly. This is why a trackball or a Space Pilot controller really comes in handy. Navigating around here in these tight crevices. If people can afford this program, they can afford a Space Pilot. They're like, yeah, they might be, the really expensive ones are like $600-700, maybe a little bit more, but they've got the mini one that is, it's just literally looks like a joystick. There is no buttons, there's no nothing to it, but it does wonders to your navigational speed, and I highly recommend it. I'm actually shocked that my company does not offer that to the 3D artist. The engineers have it for some silly reason because they do some SolidWorks, but graphic 3D guy should automatically have it to begin with. You can also shortcut yourself if you want to switch back between polys and vertices and things like that. There's a right-click button anywhere in the screen, and there's your polys right here. Your poly, your border, your edge, vertex. That's what sub-selection mode you would pick. So if I go to polys, I'm automatically switches to polys. All right, that's cool. Got that all done. Now I want to destroy these polys. Actually, I want to delete the top part first. Let's see how far I went. I don't want that far. I do want that gone. That works. We'll seal that up later. But for now, it's hasta la vista for these pieces in the middle. Just the middle. Boop. F3 to make sure. Yep, I have extra stuff selected. It goes bye-bye. See how the thickness? I've got thickness now, so this isn't. See, they're not paper thin. That's always good. L, and you can do this one too, which in turn does the one on the back side. Delete that, save some time. And Alt deselects. And the last one. See if I can get both. Man, it's gonna be. Let's see if I can get them both here. Nope. Oh, did I? Almost. Came close. All right. Now I got this funky looking sphere thing that's opened up. And that's all groovy and all. But it's got to have some substance to it. So, we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do. First of all, we're going to seal off, or at least, no, that's right. It doesn't want to do that because it's, what's the deal here? Oh. That's why. I see. I cannot select the edges right here. I want to seal that hole that's going into the base. And I can't do that because the way it's programmed, it sees this polygon goes down to here, then the polygon goes across, and then it goes upward. Well, it's paper thin. That's what it sees here too. And so it comes down just like it does on the outside, goes across, and then goes up. Well, then it goes backwards into it. So this isn't a real edge, but right here where these pieces, or each one of these pieces here, they're joined right here, which prevents me from sealing off down below here or up above, because to it, if I double click on it, it does not track on there because this is these two are fused together, and sealing that hole would make a polygon come up here and a polygon go out to cover this whole hole, and then another polygon would be going up this way. So you'd have 3 polygons leaving this whole area at one time, and that's not, it does not like that. two polygons fused together at the edge. That's all you can do. Take another sippy. Pretty good. Woohoo! Shiver coming down. Smooth. All right. So what else can we do instead, since that's like that? Well, what we can do is we can go in here and select every one of these inside pieces and try to extrude them, because they're paper thin right now. And we can extrude these inward so that there's some thickness, and then seal it off that way. I think that'll work. I don't know. Let's try it out. Can I just go to the side here and let me see if I can do this. Yeah, I just want the inside pieces, so we're alt selecting just the inside. We're alt selecting out, so we're deselecting, and didn't get all of them. Get every one of them. All right, now you notice how I got both sides selected? It's the same polygon. That's why I have both sides. It's paper thin, and we don't like that. And the more I think about this, I don't know if this is actually going to work, because it's not going to work, because if we do extrude and go to local normals and then come inward, it looks fine on the inside where there's actually thickness. That's what we like, but it came inward. So now we solved one problem, making it look thick, but then we created this other problem where this piece here is paper thin now, and that doesn't work. You can't have paper thin things in modeling. It's all got to be solid. So, crap. I really don't want to go around and seal up all those. I'm going to delete that. I don't know if that'll work either, because now I can actually go in here and I can select this. I can select this border. At least I think I can. Yeah, I can select this border. Where's my reverse button? I think there was a reverse. Isn't there a reverse button somewhere? Let me think here. There is no reverse button. Not on border, but there is on edge. At least I thought there was. Help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda. Connect. Remove, split, bridge. Is reverse on vertex? Okay, I am completely thrown off here, because there was a reverse button, and basically what that does is, without getting too complicated, it literally flips the direction the segment, in this case that's selected, will extrude inward or outward. And you can tell it to go one way or another just by reversing the way the edge is facing. Right now it's facing outward, I believe, towards the outside of the model. And I'm completely blind by why I can't find the reverse button. Why am I not seeing it? Target. Maybe it is under vertex and I'm just not seeing it either. Well, I'm wasting time. Who cares? All right. So we're going to go to border, and we're going to see if I can't do something here. hold down W, so we're going to move this thing, and we're going to hold down Shift while we're moving it down the Z-axis. And what's going to happen, I've got this inside piece selected. I'm going to go downward just a ways and deselect. I've got a nice little ledge there, which is cool. I can then go in here, select it again, click cap, and now I've got a little cap, and I've got a little holding tray here, which is kind of cool. That's fine for now. We're going to leave it like that, so it's kind of a little place you can put a little brazier, you know, embers and things, but it's still separated from the actual piece. So we're going to have to go in there and figure out how to get that thing connected. And man, the way I want to do it is not going to be pretty. Let's go with the inside piece here and go upward back to where it was. Upward more. I can't fuse those together because of these pieces here. Or can I? Let's go to vertice, let's go to target weld, and let's go up here and click there. Let's F3 and select. We're selecting this spot right here. It actually did. It said vertex 12, 17 selected. So this is one vertex, even though I've got several different polygons coming together. Sometimes it does not work very well. Let's try the rest of them. I thought so. That's right. All right, so yeah, we were able to weld that piece. This piece will not weld with it. See how it doesn't turn in the crosshairs? It's very frustrating. And that is because it has all these other polygons. Oops. It has thickness to it. And you cannot have a polygon coming in here, a polygon going in another direction, and then a third polygon. You can't have them coming in. You can't make a T section in with polygons unless they're on the same type of plane. So you would basically have one going that way, one going that way, and then a third one going this way, and it doesn't work that way. So I was right. I knew there was something that you couldn't do on that. So, man, we're back to square one on this. Trying to figure out how I'm going to fuse that together. And still keep it thick. It'll come to me. It's really simple anyway. Doesn't really look like it's that elaborate of a bridge. Cap. May not be able to do that. Alright, new idea. Element. Does it select just that? Yes, it does. And we will, I want to detach these pieces, these vertical pieces, but I don't want to detach the bottom piece. And I don't think there's, go back to poly, deselect just the bottom piece, and reselect the top. There, that's what I want. I want to select just those pieces here. I'm going to detach them, which is up here next to the create, the collapse, and the attach button. There's a detach button. What that does is it separates it from the actual piece. It's a separate entity. Matter of fact, I can change the color of it to show it's a different object. It's no longer a part of the base. So that allows us now to go in here and select the border of both of these and click bridge. That is not what I said to do. I said to click this one and this one. Let's bring it out a little bit. Yeah. and this one, and I should be able to bridge that because they're, and it doesn't do that. It wants to do something stupid. Wonderful. Collapse? No, that's not going to work because that'll collapse in the middle. F3. Oh, it's because it's this daggum. All right, see how this is a dark line, and when I select that one, it's a light line. See how those two are two different colors? And that's what I was talking about earlier, is that this one that's brighter means it's pointing outward, and the darker one means it's pointing inward. And those two do not line up very well. I need to get this flipped around. Like I said earlier, there was a place to fucking turn the thing around and flip it. Flip, Philadelphia. I remember seeing it was called reverse, and it was like right around here, and I'm not seeing where. Stacked, remove, split, extrude, weld, chamfer. Where is my? It is not giving me the option at all. There is no reverse button. Here's a flip. Is that what that is? Let's see. Do I have anything that's the polys that are fit? No, they're all facing the right direction. It is literally just these dadgum lines right here. Just those that need to be flipped. I cannot believe that it's not here. It's not under soft select. That's not one of the. It's not one of the choices that need to be concerned. Quick slice, attach. Oh, I wonder if that's. I bet you it's a. I bet you it's in a spline. I bet you that's what it is. Let's go to create. Go to the second column for splines. Make a rectangle. Right click this thing. I'm just doing it real quick just to see myself. And oh, why did I make it editable poly? I did not want to make it editable poly. I want to make it editable spline, and it's under segment, and there it is, reverse. It's under spline. I had the two. I was getting the two mixed up. That one allows you to convert and flip the direction, but this one doesn't, which is a bummer because I don't know how else to flip this. What if we go in here and move it downward? Hold down Shift, bring it down, go to Polygon, and it looks good. I don't see why these two should not meet, and it doesn't do that. I'm going to right click move and select and move, copy the height, paste the height for the other one so they're both on the same exact plane as we were talking earlier. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to bridge this thing and see. Nope, it's still not going to do that. It definitely does not want to bridge those two together. And it's because it has no reason why it shouldn't do that. Alright, well, we'll do it the old-fashioned way, which I don't like doing. Let's see. It's this line right here. Is that it? Yeah, it is. Okay. And then we will weld. And oh, is it not the number? It's not the same number. It's the same number of vertices. Why isn't it wanting to? Oh, that's weird. It's because the pieces are facing opposite away from each other. It's causing all kinds of issues. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. There should be no reason for that. What about cap? Ha! Screw it, I'll just do cap. It's dumb to do it that way, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay. Saving this. Alright, now unfortunately I got this piece separate, so I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. First I want to change the anchor points. The middle column over here, effect pivot, center, unaffect. And that way you can shrink the thing down and shrink it down. Man, what am I going to do here? Crap. What do I do with this? I'll do something with it. I hate to get rid of it. Alright, it's moving over somewhere else. Doing something else. That's not going to work. Add another edit poly. Ooh, that looks weird. Oh, that did awful. Let's delete that. Delete that. Delete that. That was all kinds of badness in this world. And see. What the hell is going on here? Alright, that was part of the reason. There was too many caps there that was sealing it up there. I bet you this thing, I bet you it seals it up just fine now if I go to weld. And nope, it's still just as screwed up as it used to be. And it's because of that dark edge being that way. Is it all of them? Yeah, it's all of them. What about this one? That's clean. Alright, what if we go in here? Oops, I did not want to do that. What if we go in here and select those, deselect that, deselect that. I want to make sure I just have those selected. Get rid of that. All those are now reversed. So I want to go in here and select select these. You end up starting to learn how to like deselect and select things that you need to. That looks pretty awful. What if we flip it? Ah, that's the reason. You see how it got real bright? The stupid things were facing the wrong direction, and that was because of my holding down shift earlier when I brought these pieces down. Bet you $5 this thing bridges now just fine. Yeah, it does. It's because the polygons have to face in the same direction. And right now, all your polygons, you want them to face outward. And when they face down or inside, they literally face inside the model, which is never a good thing. Now we can go in here and I think I can select this. I can cap it, and now it looks all pretty. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Alright, so let's bevel this thing and see what we can do with this bad boy. Let's come in here. Let's extrude outward. Yeah, there's going to be some support. Let's see. I want it to... What the hell am I making? trying to make a specific. There we go. That's what I was looking for. I was looking over on the other screen. And then what we'll do, excuse me, we will bring it in a little bit and click on OK, and that'll be enough. That'll do. And then now we're going to go in here and we got 32 at a time, so we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then we got just that selected. We're going to extrude those bad boys up. Boom. And then I want to grab these and scale them outward. Like that. And then I want to, what the hell do I want to do? I want to seal this thing back up to make it a top. Do I delete that? No. Extrude that out a little bit more. Something like that. But then I'm going to have to seal that off. How am I going to do that? And then I will bevel this out. Keep that right where it wants. And I'm going to bring them back in. Bring it back in. Like that. Like that. And then extrude it one more time. And then I want to how I'm going to get these boys together. I want to see here. Pretty. We hadn't even got to the bridge yet. It's important to make the anchors just as good as the bridge. All right. I need this to be one. I need to join all these pieces together. So what we will do. Yoo-hoo. Summer blowout. And what we're going to do is we're going to delete these edges here. We're going to move the piece here. And it's going to be snapped on over there. Like that. We're going to take the other edge. We're going to snap that bad boy right onto the other one. Boom. Just like that. Vertice. F3. Select all 4 of those bad boys. It says 8 right here. Weld that. Oops. Do not want to click that button. Click the weld select button and turn that back to 0. Go up to like 1. Now you got 4 vertices. I just had it on way too high of a threshold, and it will just conform to everything if you don't watch out. Alright. Delete those. Edge. No. Border. And you can actually just go in there and go target select if you want, target weld rather, and just drag them on over. And drag them on over. And drag them on over. It's coming. It's coming. And then border. Border, border, extrude. No, no, that's not what I wanted. No. Yeah, good enough. Like I said, you can always change stuff later. Just because you did something that looks kind of awful, you can fix it. Everything, just about everything, can be fixed in this except Pro-Boolean. And that's like herpes. You can't fix it. You can tell me you can all you want, but you can't. It don't work that way. It stays with you forever. Forever. Alright, there we go. That is adorable. Now, I'm wanting to put these things together. So, we need to cap this top off. And in order to do that, do I need to remove this? Yes, I need to remove that top piece. Just the top, just the tip. Delete that. Now I can go to border, select the border, cap that bad boy. You got the piece. Now it's all capped off. You go with the border still on, you select the outer border, you bring that back up. You cap that, and now you got a top and a bottom. Boom, like that. How cute is that? Adorable! The most beautiful anchor in the world. Aww. It's happy to be in existence. Still not liking this end piece, so we're going to do this real quick. Bevel for the last piece. Oops. Zero out. Bring it in. Push plus. Bring it down. Yes. Bring it down. Push plus. 0, 0. Bring it in. Push plus. Just once, not twice. Make sure you just push it once. Bring it in. Push plus one time. Zeroed out, and then extrude up. And now you've got a nice little inset piece. You can bevel that all you want. You can set it down like this. You can make it a little funny cone like this. You can even like make it come up a little bit if you want to. Just make sure it's not greater than 45. You can zero this back down. Bring it in. Bring it down. Now you got some kind of a, I don't know, torch or something like that. You can put that on there. It's just something that you can put in there that makes it look like there's something else in there other than just a decoration of structure. Do I want to have a spike coming out of the top? I thought about it earlier, but I'm not really liking the spike now on this thing. Let's unhide this. Now we can get back to where we were. There's the poor little sphere that was rejected earlier. We will have a life for you yet somewhere else. But no, that's pretty much what we're going to do there. I like it. And we'll move that back in. Snap it like a Slim Jim. And snap it like a Slim Jim. Instance this, you betcha, because we want these to always be identical in every way. Because it's not going to matter if we make it all have the same damage and details on it. No one will know, and you can always rotate it 90 degrees, and it will look different than the other one. So there is your corner pieces for the bridge. You can hide that. Well, let's call it something else. Let's say master pillar. Boop. Hide that bad boy. And that is just an object. We'll call it sphere peel. Hide that. And now what we are going to do is just 5 more minutes. We're going to sit back and drink some more scotch. Ah, and down she goes. Well, we've run out of time to start much more anything, but I'm going to continue on. Basically, what we're going to do is the stonework on the side. Let me see, we can save this thing. That's right, we're doing the flat one, not the arch. So what we're going to do in this one, I've decided we are going to make it go up and around and down. So there is going to be a little bit of elevation off the top. So basically, let's just make some box here real quick so we actually know what we're doing here. We've got them down here so we can actually go to the midpoint, go up to the first one, go to that piece, go up to the second one. That is not what I wanted to do. So let's do it again. From here to here, and I want it to go up higher. There we go. Got a little steppy step. It doesn't have to be 5 feet off the ground on this bridge. You remember, it's just a mini. It's not like this is going to be realistic. It just has to look good. So from here, we've got our height elevation. We can just make it look like we're mostly in the water. So what we do here is bring these pieces over, instance them, why not? Rotate them. Oops. Turn the angle snap toggle. Should always be turned on. That way you can actually make legitimate turns. Make sure your snap's on. And snap it to a Slim Jim. Now, when we go from here to there, and then to like about there, you've got a little hole. It's got a little hole underneath it. Do, 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 do. And basically what you can do with this one is you can go to there, and shrink it down, shrink it dink like that, and move it to there, and then move this one to there. And now you're starting to make a little bit of a bridge, and this is basically what I'm talking about. So what you're going to do is make the illusion that the bridge is actually in deep water. And I mean, the water theoretically is going to be on your battle mat. Underneath, that pink is going to be the water. Next week, or on Wednesday, I'm going to actually bring in a battle mat and map and apply it as a texture in this scene, and that'll make it a little bit easier on the visualization, because a couple of people emailed me asking about just how this was going to look with pieces fitting on top of a battle map, and I guarantee it makes your battle mat look so much better. If you've got a good, clean, high-resolution battle mat with definition of trees and ground and grass and things like that, if it's an actual good solid one, you add 3D models on top of it, it really adds the whole picture of it. So that's what this is going to be, is basically it's going to look like supports that go into the water, that this is just the top part, and the water goes, you know, is much deeper. And we'll add some walls, and we're going to go back in and, of course, redo the steps and redo everything like that. But that's basically what the flat one is. And then the arch one will be basically the same, but it will just go a little, it'll just go a little higher, something like that. And instead of it being down here, you would have a, if I can do it this way, yeah. You would have your arch. This would just show you kind of what it looks like. We'd start right there. There. So you would have, where'd my little arch go? Where'd my little arch go? I don't know where my arch is. There he is. So basically you go in there and you can, that will be your height. So let's remove that for a second. You will see that nice little arch. That's all you need to do for a 15-footer. And the nice thing about this is that you take this and you can make this arch. You can extend these pieces out. All these pieces, they go way out here. Then you just make another segment like this, and boom, this is already 3 pieces. So this will be another 3-piece, and you just bring these right up against the other one, and then you've got 3 and 3. That's a 6-piece with the ends are 7/8. That's an 8-span bridge right there. And all you've done is made one segment. Once you finalize this, you just copy it over, and you're good to go. You've got your 2 different versions of bridges, 2 different lengths that can be used. So we'll run into those next time. Let's save this as a separate file. Why not? It will be 02. And we'll work on this next time on Wednesday. We'll finish this bridge up without any problems. And we'll start adding the noise to the bricks, to the stonework, so that it has that split face to it. Because quite honestly, smooth does not look good. Split face definitely does. I've already printed off the wishing well this weekend, the one we built last week. And I can tell you right now, second to none, the split face looks fantastic on a printer. There is hardly any support that cleanup on it. It works really, really well. You'll be really impressed with it, and using that noise modifier is a really, really nice feature to it. I love it. So, all right. Once again, unfortunately, as sad as it is, these 2 hours seem to go by real fast when I'm modeling for you guys, and I know the chat doesn't have to necessarily be big, but I get the emails constantly afterwards talking about it, and I really appreciate that. Just sitting here doing this is always a lot of fun. As always, I appreciate you guys, all of you, sitting through the whole thing. And those who just kind of jumping through it is fine. Look for this thing to be on YouTube later tonight. I put all of these live streams onto YouTube afterwards, so people can go back and kind of skip through the jibber jabber and get to the good parts. So this is, I think, episode 8. So we're already getting a ways in here. So good stuff. All right, Wednesday it's going to be same time, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Until then, be good. Have a good Tuesday and rest of the Monday night. Stay safe. See you then.